a giant. Look at this fish. That is awesome. That is a big walleye. Today on Jon Thelen's Destination-Fish, we start in the weeds. Being the first one on a bite can mean a great day, and that's exactly what we land on. Jon Thelen's Destination-Fish is brought to you by Lindy Fishing Tackle and Alumacraft Boats. There's one right there. Feels like a walleye. Just feels like a good walleye. Man, we're kind of trying to get in front of a bite right now. And when I say get in front of a bite, what I mean is I'm trying to get a bite going maybe a little bit before it's time. And you can ask, why in the world why would you worry about that? And here's what it is. For me, I go back a lot to my tournament fishing and guiding. I was always looking for what was coming. Because if I could get to what was coming before everybody else, a lot of times what you can do is you can have some huge days. You can have some just phenomenal fishing days by getting the bites before everybody else. Look at this walleye. Great fish to start. That is awesome. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to a bite before it's really fired up, because if we're the first ones to it, here's what happens. You can have a bonanza on these fish before other guys get to it, because while they're fishing bites that are petering out, you can be fishing a bite that's taken off. And that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna fish a bite that's on the verge of taking off. What an awesome fish. Man, they're pretty, aren't they? Holy smokes, that is a great fish. Let's chuck him in. Let's talk about what we're gonna do. We're gonna fish today in 67-degree water, 68-degree water, right on that verge of being into your spinners and your crawlers or your aggressive crawler style baits like I'm fishing right now, this little guy. And we're gonna try to get fish that are sitting on the edges of weed lines, and we're gonna try to get them before everybody else is fishing them. If you can do what we're gonna do today, get on these fish, and you know what, that's a great sign to start, because I'm trucking right along. I was covering ground and I was moving fast, and that fish jumped up and bit. And that explains something to me. Those fish that were up tighter on those shorelines, they're now sliding out into these weedier areas, and they're willing to hit a bait that's coming past them. Today we are fishing weed edges in 10 to 14 feet of water. The key is to find good new growth and green cabbage. We are pulling gold Lindy little guys in the 1-inch size at 1.3 to 1.5 miles per hour. It's early June and the weather is perfect, with water temps at 68 degrees and air temps in the mid-70s with a 5 to 10 mile per hour southwest wind. By the looks of where other boats are fishing today, we're the first ones to this bite. There's one, look at that. A little bit deeper, just a hair deeper, hair off the weed line. Not a lot, just a little. That's one of the things I'll tell you to do. When you start doing this and you're running these weed lines, weave in and out a little bit. That's something you'll see me do a lot. I'll work my way up into 8, then I'll slide my way back down into 12 to 14, and I just keep looking. Good eater size eye. Look at that one, great dinner fish. Great dinner fish. But one of the things I'll do is I'll weave back and forth quite a bit, because what that does for me is covers some ground, but it also makes it so that any fish that are on that edge, I might be able to pick them off. Great little 14, 15 incher. Great dinner fish. But what I can do is I can pick them off doing this versus just pulling a straight line too far out or pulling a straight line too far in. What you find is you catch a few fish that are on both sides of it, up on the edge or just inside of the weeds and just outside of the weeds. And you know what? That fish right there is just a little bit outside. I mean, it's never would have got him if I'm not doing a little bit of this as I go. Jon Thelen's Destination-Fish is brought to you by these fine sponsors. I just spilled a bunch of dirt right out of that bait tray there. And the beauty of this is when I get in today, all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the hose and I'm just gonna spray it out. And that's one of the neat things. In fact, I'll tell you, back when Alumacraft went to this weave vinyl floor, they had me test some different versions of it. And this version of it right here, man, I'll tell you what, it's the real deal. I mean, it comes clean really, really easy. It doesn't stain. It's just the real deal. So, you know, one thing I do with my boats nowadays, I do snap-in carpet, I do this vinyl floor, and to be honest with you, the only time I put that carpet in is when my wife and kids might be in the boat, somebody wants to use it for a little bit of water sports, whatever it may be, where they're barefoot. This weave vinyl, and I don't know exactly what they call it, but I'll tell you what, it is, it's the real deal. I mean, it's, since I switched to it, a heck of a lot easier to keep my boat clean. There's one. Oh yeah, feels like a good fish. Oh boy, this feels like a really good fish. And he might have got himself down in the weeds a little bit on me though too. I'm gonna just slow the boat down a little bit. Man, I'll tell you, these fish, when they get into feeding mode and get onto these weed edges like we're on right now, they are just so tough, big walleye. They are just so tough. I mean, this fish right here, he is just so strong, big, thick fish. Wow, nice fish. All right, man, I'll tell you what, that is so cool when a fish like this bites. And you're catching them the way we just caught this fish, because you know, it's one of those things where nobody's on it yet. We're the only ones. Look at this fish right here. Oh, look at that one. What an awesome walleye. Just a beautiful fish sitting right on a weed edge. Let me explain this to you. Let's get this fish back in the water. That one's gonna get let go. What an awesome walleye. Great fish. You get out of here, buddy. There she goes. So not too long ago, just a couple days, these fish were all sitting in areas where they had found things like humps and such that you're casting jig and shiner to. And everybody was fishing that way, and some fish are getting caught, but what's happening is I was watching that bite peter out. So that's the time that I start thinking about, hey, those fish, they're moving to a different area. Number one thing they do, they move to lakes with weed edges. And here's what's happened. At 67, you know, maybe 65 degrees, the weeds really start coming up. I'm at 67.6 degrees. I started looking around on this lake, and the beginning of my day was this: a lot of time looking and not finding the weeds I want. I want good green cabbage that's standing up. So what I'm trying to do is just fish the edge of them. I'm catching these fish in 10, 12 feet of water right off the edge of these weeds. And man, I'll tell you what, this is right on the verge of taking off. And I mean, we're right there. We're right on top of it right now. I'm gonna get beta back up, get this thing lined up again, but man, that's cool. There's one right there. It's just clockwork. It's so much fun. I just absolutely love, and this is the stuff, like I was saying at the beginning of today's show, it's kind of stuff that I used to do tournament fishing. You know, trying to figure out that thing that would be different than what everybody else is doing, because if you figure that out, that thing that's different than everybody else, man, you're just gonna flat out catch more fish. Good fish. Great fish to wrap it up. Look at this one. Man, just awesome. This is that time of the year when fish like this one right here, they're getting into chase mode. Look at that. And that's what he's doing. He's just in chase mode. And when that fish gets into chase mode, you can do this. Get out and do some stuff that nobody else is doing. Have some confidence that if you throw some stuff out that it shouldn't be time for yet, maybe it's a week or 2 or 3 early, man, I'll tell you, go out and try it, because the day you try it and realize that there are bites out there that nobody else knows about that you can get on, you're just gonna have a heck of a lot more fun. I mean, that's all there is to it. Jon Thelen's Destination Fish has been brought to you by these great sponsors.